Hello everybody, my name is Kiran. I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of EEE Anits. I welcome you all to my second lecture on the concept of Hurwitz polynomial. In my previous lecture, I have discussed the first method of testing Hurwitz polynomial using continued fraction expansion method. The disadvantage of the first method of testing the Hurwitz polynomial is that sometimes the division gets abruptly terminated, and in such cases, even though the obtained quotients are positive, the number of quotient terms will not be equal to the highest degree of the given polynomial. Let me take you back to the last tutorial that we have discussed in previous lecture. In this tutorial, the highest order of the given polynomial is 6, but here as you can see the number of quotient terms obtained are only 4. So therefore, since the division has terminated abruptly, in this case we cannot conclude that the given polynomial is Hurwitz or not. In such cases, the best solution is to test the given polynomial using the second method, which is Routh-Hurwitz method. This is the procedure how we can test a given polynomial using Routh-Hurwitz method. It will be easy for you to understand if I explain you by means of tutorials. So let us directly take the previous tutorial that we have discussed and implement the second method of testing the given polynomial for Hurwitz. So here as you can see the highest order is 6. So first I will write all the even terms. Since the highest order is an even term, I will first write the coefficients of the even terms, that is s power 6. Here coefficient is 1, here 8, here 17 and 4. Next, the odd coefficient s power 5. If I take, the coefficients are 3, 15 and 12. Okay. So first we have to write the coefficients of both even as well as odd terms. If the highest order is an odd, then first we have to write the coefficient of odd terms and then we have to write the coefficients of even terms. That depends upon the given tutorial. So next we have to find the array of the remaining terms, that is s power 4 till s power 0. Okay, so s power 4. So the calculation part of s power 4, as you can see here, 3 into 8 minus 15 into 1 divided by this element 3 will give you the first element in the array of the row s power 4. So according to calculation, I obtained as 3. The second element 3 into 17 minus 12 into 1 divided by 3, and that will give me 13. And the third entry of the row s power 4, 3 into 4 minus, here I don't have any term, so I'll assume this as 0, isn't it? So 3 into 4 minus 0 into 1 divided by 3, which will give me 4. So this is how in every step we find the elements of the Routh array. Okay. So next I want the row corresponding to s cube. Okay. So previously we have considered s power 6 and s power 5 in order to get the row s power 4, isn't it? Now since I need s power 3, I will consider the rows S power 5 and S power 4. Okay, and the calculation part, as you can see, S power 3. So when I consider these two rows, 3 into 15 minus 13 into 3 divided by 3 will give me 2. And for the next element, 3 into 12 minus 4 into 3 divided by 3 will give me 8. So this is the row that were obtained corresponding to S cube. Next, S square. So for S square, I should again consider these two rows, that is S power 4 and S cube. So here when I calculate S square, it is 2 into 13 minus 8 into 3 divided by 2, which will give me 1. And the next element, 2 into 4, here I don't have any element, so it is understood that the element is 0. So 2 into 4 minus 0 into 3 divided by 2 will give me the element 4. So the next row, S power 1, we have to now consider the rows S square and S cube and find the row corresponding to S power 1. So for S power 1, 1 into 8 minus 4 into 2 divided by 1 will give me the value of 0. Okay, so we will not get the remaining element because anyhow there are no elements present here, so you will not get any element in the row corresponding to S power 1. So remember, if in the array that we have obtained, if the first column element is 0 by any chance, only the first element, okay, so we assume some small positive number epsilon and replace it in place of 0. In the last S power 0, for it I will consider S square and also S and find the row corresponding to S power 0. So if I find S power 0, it is epsilon into 4 minus 0 into 1 divided by epsilon, which will give me 4. So this is the Routh table that we have obtained for this polynomial. Remember, if in the Routh table the first element alone becomes 0, in that case we replace that 0 by a small positive number epsilon. Yes, after we obtain the required Routh table, or we can call it as Routh array for the given polynomial, the condition that one should check, the first column of the Routh table that we obtain should all have positive coefficients. There should not be any sign changes in the first column of the Routh table that we obtained. So in this, the first column of the Routh table for this tutorial is this. As you can clearly see that there are no sign changes and all obtained elements are positive. Hence, if the elements in the first column are all positive and there are no sign changes, then we can conclude that the given polynomial is Hurwitz. The next tutorial, S power 4 plus S cube 7s cube plus 6s square plus 21s plus 8. So here the highest degree is an even term. So first we'll write the coefficients of the even term, then we have to write the coefficients of odd term. Okay, so anyhow the first two conditions are satisfied, that is the coefficients should be positive, isn't it? So all coefficients are positive. The second condition is there should not be any missing terms, and obviously there are no missing terms. So the third step, that is we have to use now Routh-Hurwitz method to test whether the given polynomial is Hurwitz. Since the highest degree is 4 and it is an even term, first we'll write the coefficients of the even terms, that is 1, 6 and 8. Next we'll write the coefficients of the odd terms. In this case it is 7 and 21. Now you need the elements corresponding to s square. So using the formula, I'll write 7 into 6 minus 21 into 1 divided by 7, which will give me the first element in the row corresponding to s square, which is 3. To find the next element, it is 7 into 8. Here there is no element, therefore it is understood that it is 0. So 7 into 8 minus 0 into 1 divided by 7 will give me the second element in the row corresponding to s square, which is 8. Now we have to find the elements corresponding to the row s power 1. For that I have to consider s cube and s square. Applying the formula, I will get 3 into 21 minus 8 into 7 divided by 3 will give me the first element in the row corresponding to s power 1, which is 7 by 3. To find the next element, here anyhow the element is 0, so in order to find, here also we have 0, so it is 3 into 0 minus 0 into 7 divided by 3, which will give me the second element in the row corresponding to s power 1, which is 0. So the last row, s power 0, in order to find the elements, I need to consider s square and s power 1 elements. So using the formula, s power 0 is 7 by 3 into 8 minus 0 into 3 divided by 7 by 3, which will give me the first element in the row corresponding to s power 0, which is 8. Obviously we will not get any other terms because there are no terms in the s square and s power 1 rows. So therefore this is the Raoult table obtained for the given polynomial. So now if we observe the first column of the Raoult table that we have obtained, there are no sign changes and all the coefficients or the elements that we have obtained are positive, isn't it? So since all the elements in the first column are positive, there are no sign changes. The given polynomial is Hurwitz. The next, s power 4 plus s cube plus 2s square plus 3s plus 2. The highest is an even term. So the first two conditions anyhow are met, that is all coefficients are positive and there are no missing terms. The third step is by testing the given polynomial using Raoult-Hurwitz method. Since the highest power is s power 4, it is an even term. So first writing all the coefficients of the even terms 1, 2 and 2. Then the coefficients of the odd term 1 and 3. So next finding the elements corresponding to the row s square using the formula 1 into 2 minus 3 into 1 divided by 1, which will give me minus 1, and that is the first element corresponding to the row s square. The next element can be obtained. Anyhow, this element here is 0, so it is 1 into 2 minus 0 into 1 divided by 1 will give me the second element of the corresponding row s square, which is 2. Now in order to find the elements corresponding to s power 1, I will consider the rows s cube and s square. So using the formula, the first element can be obtained minus 1 into 3 minus 2 into 1 divided by minus 1 will give me the first element corresponding to the row S bar 1, which is 5. Next, the next element in the same corresponding row S bar 1. Here anyhow the element is 0. Here the element is 0. So minus 1 into 0 minus 0 into 1 divided by minus 1 will give me the value 0, which is the second element in the corresponding row S bar 1. The last row S bar 0 can be obtained by considering S square and S bar 1 rows. So using the formula 5 into 2 minus 0 into minus 1 divided by 5 will give me the element corresponding to the row S bar 0, which is 2. Now when I observe the first column of the Routh table, there are sign changes present here, isn't it? So here it is positive, then here it is becoming negative, and again here it is becoming positive. So there are two sign changes. Okay, so number of sign changes in the first column of Routh table indicates that there are poles present on the right hand side of the S plane. Okay, so here since there are sign changes, the given polynomial is not Hurwitz. Okay. Next tutorial, S bar 5 plus 2s bar 4 plus 4s cube plus 6s square plus 2s plus 5. We have to test whether this polynomial is Hurwitz. Okay, the first two conditions are met for the given tutorial. Let's move forward to the third step, that is Routh table. So the highest power here is odd number. So first we'll write the coefficients of the odd terms 1, 4 and 2. And next is the even terms coefficients 2, 6 and 5. Now writing the remaining table, first S cube using the formula 2 into 4 minus 6 into 1 divided by 2 will give me the first element in the corresponding row S cube, which is 1. The next element can be obtained is 2 into 2 minus 5 into 1 divided by 2, which is minus 0.5, the second element in the corresponding row S cube. Now in order to find the next row, that is S square, I will consider the elements S bar 4 and S cube. Using the formula 1 into 6 minus 0.5 into 2 divided by 1 will give me the first element in the corresponding row S square, which is 7. The next element can be obtained, anyhow this element is 0, so it is 1 into 5 minus 0 into 2 divided by 1 will give me the second element in the corresponding row S square, which is 5. Now considering S cube and S square, in order to find the elements corresponding to S bar 1, using the formula we will find 7 into minus 0.5 minus 5 into 1 divided by 7 will give me the value minus 1.21. Okay. Obviously there will be no other elements because the elements here is 0 and 0, so I will not get any terms here. Okay, so the last row S bar 0, the elements corresponding to S bar 0 can be obtained by considering these two rows, that is S square and S bar 1. Using the formula here, since the element is 0, minus 1.21 into 5 minus 0 into 7 divided by minus 1.21 will give me the last element in the Routh table, which is 5. Now when I observe the first column of the Routh table, there are two sign changes, isn't it? From positive to negative, again from negative to positive. Indicates that there are poles on the right hand side of the S plane. Okay, so the given polynomial is not Hurwitz since there are sign changes in the first column of the obtained Routh table. The next polynomial is given as S power 5 plus S cube plus S. So anyhow, all the coefficients are positive. It may seem or it may look as if there are missing terms, but this is a special case. We should not consider it as the missing terms since the given polynomial is a complete odd function. So hence, in order to construct a Routh-Hurwitz table, in this case we'll find the derivative of the given polynomial. In this case, the obtained derivative polynomial is 5s power 4 plus 3s square plus 1. So now these two we'll consider and try to construct the Routh-Hurwitz table for this given polynomial. So the highest order is odd terms. So anyhow, the coefficients, the first will be 1, 1 and 1 since anyhow this is an odd function. So on derivative we obtained an even function, isn't it? And the coefficients are 5, 3 and 1. Next, to get the elements corresponding to the row S cube, using the formula 5 into 1 minus 3 into 1 divided by 5, which will give me the first element of the corresponding row S cube, which is 0.4. In order to get the second element, 5 into 1 minus 1 into 1 divided by 5, which will give me 0.8, the second element in the corresponding row of S cube. Next, in order to find the elements of S square, I will consider these two rows S cube and S power 4 using the formula minus 4 into 3 minus 0.8 into 5 divided by 0.4, which will give me minus 7, the first element in the corresponding row S square. The next element, since this element is 0, it is minus 0.4 into 1 minus 0 into 5 divided by 0.4, which will give me 1, the second element in the corresponding row S square. Now considering these two rows, to get the elements corresponding to S power 1, using the formula minus 7 into 0.8 minus 1 into 0.4 divided by minus 7, which is 0.86. Obviously we will not get any other terms because there are no elements here. And the last row can be obtained by considering S square and S power 1 using the formula. It is minus here it is anyhow it is 0, so it is 0.86 into 1 minus 0 into minus 7 by 0.86, which is 1. So we have obtained the Routh-Hurwitz table. If I observe the first column of the Routh table, there are two sign changes from positive to negative, again from negative to positive. This indicates that the poles are located on the right hand side of the S plane. So the given polynomial will not be Hurwitz since there are sign changes in the first column of the Routh table. Here the 15th tutorial, it's in a completely even function. So the same procedure will follow as we have seen in the previous tutorial. The first condition is satisfied. The second condition is also satisfied because since it is a pure even function, and we'll find the derivative to get the odd function, isn't it? So we need both even terms and odd terms for constructing Routh table. So writing the first two rows corresponding to Routh table, which is S bar 8 and S bar 7. Using the formula now, you write S bar 6. Here I will get 8 into 5 minus 30 into 1 divided by 8 will give me 1.25, the first element in S bar 6 row. The second element 8 into 2 minus 8 into 1 divided by 8 will give me the second element of the row S bar 6, which is 1. The third element 8 into 3 minus 6 into 1 divided by 8, which will give me 2.25. And the fourth element 8 into 1 minus 0 into 1 divided by 8 will give me the fourth element, which is 1, in the corresponding row S bar 6. Now to get the next elements of the corresponding row S bar 5, I will consider S bar 7 and S bar 6. Using the formula 1.25 into 30 minus 1 into 8 divided by 1.25 will give me the first element 23.6. The second element 1.25 into 8 minus 2.25 into 8 divided by 1.25 will give me the second element, that is minus 6.4. Third element 1.25 into 6 minus 1 into 8 divided by 1.25, which is minus 0.4. Anyhow, I will not get the next term since this is 0. Here also I have 0. So anyhow, the next element will be 0. So the next S bar 4 row corresponding elements using the formula. Now I will consider S bar 5 and S bar 6 rows. So the first element can be obtained 23.6 into 1 minus of minus 6.24 into 1.25 divided by 23.6 will give me the first element, which is 1.33. The next element 23.6 into 2.25 minus of minus 0.24 into 1.25 by 23.6 will give me the second element, which is 2.27. And the last element in the corresponding row of S bar 4 can be obtained as 23.6 into 1 minus 0 into 1.25 divided by 23.6, which will give me 1. Anyhow, the next terms will not be there because these terms are not present. Next is cube row corresponding elements can be obtained by considering S bar 4 and S bar 5 row elements. So using the formula 1.33 minus of minus 1.33 into minus 6.4 minus 2.27 into 23.6 divided by 1.33 will give me the first element of the row SC cube, which is minus 46.6. The second element can be obtained as 1.33 into minus 0.4 minus 1 into 23.6 divided by 1.33, which will give me minus 18.14. Anyhow, this element is 0, here also it is 0, so the third element in that row will be 0, obviously. Now considering these two elements, that is S power 4 and S power 3 rows elements, and finding the remaining row table. So using a formula, I'll get minus 46.6 into 2.27 minus 18.4 into 1.3 divided by minus 46.6. So here I will have another minus, okay, which will give me 1.75 as the first element of the corresponding row S squared. The next element is minus 46.6 into 1 minus 0 into 1.33 by minus 46.6, which is 1. The second element in the corresponding row is square. Now considering S cube and S square elements and finding the elements corresponding to S power 1. The first element will be 1.75 into minus 18.14 minus 1 into minus 46.6 divided by 1.75 will give me the first element, which is 8.49. Obviously I will not get the remaining elements because anyhow there are no elements here, isn't it? So the last row, since this is 0, so this is 8.49 into 1 minus 0 into 1.75 divided by 8.49, which will give me the last element of the row table to be 1. After constructing the row table, now I will observe the first column of the row table. There are two sign changes, positive to negative, again negative to positive, indicating that the poles are present on the right hand side of the S-plane, hence the given polynomial is not Hurwitz since there are sign changes in the first column of the row table. The 16th tutorial, the first two conditions are anyhow satisfied. Going to the third condition. So the elements in the row table have been obtained corresponding to the rows S cube and S square. So the interesting thing that one can observe here is the elements corresponding to the row S power 1 are all zeros. Okay, an entire row of zeros are present. In such situation, one must remember that one has to write an auxiliary equation with the help of coefficients that are above the row of zeros. So in this case, the auxiliary equation becomes 48s square plus 48 is equal to 0. And we have to differentiate that auxiliary equation, and whatever coefficients we obtained by differentiating the auxiliary equation, those coefficients we have to replace with the row of zeros and then proceed for the row table. So this is the procedure that one should follow if you encounter a row of zeros. So in this case, the auxiliary equation will be 48s square plus 48, because that are the coefficients above the row of 0. Okay, so if I differentiate that, it gives me 96s, isn't it? So now I'll replace this row of zeros with the coefficient of the differentiated auxiliary equation. So in this case it is 96, isn't it? So it is 96 and 0. So here I can observe that the first column has no sign changes, isn't it? But one should remember, even though there are no sign changes in this tutorial, one cannot be sure whether the given polynomial is Hurwitz or not. So in order to be sure whether the given polynomial is Hurwitz or not, we have to find the roots of the auxiliary equation, and the auxiliary equation roots must not lie on right hand side of the S plane, and it should not have any repeated pair of imaginary roots with no real part. Okay, so this is the condition we should check after constructing the Routh table when we have a row of zeros. Okay, so for this sum, anyhow, there will not be any repeated pair of imaginary roots, isn't it? So because if I find the roots of this auxiliary equation, it is s is equal to plus or minus j1. So since the pair of imaginary roots are not repeated and there are no sign changes in the first column of the Routh table, the given polynomial is Hurwitz. Let us see the 17th tutorial. The first two conditions are satisfied. We'll proceed to the third. So here again, as you can see, using the formulas, we'll find the elements corresponding to S bar 4 and S bar 3. Here again I am encountering with a row of zeros. Okay, now you know the procedure that we should follow if we encounter a row of zeros. Auxiliary equation, that is S bar 4 coefficients, isn't it? So S bar 4 plus 6s square plus 25 is my auxiliary equation. Differentiating it gives me 4s cube plus 12s. Now replacing these coefficients with the row of zeros and proceeding with the Routh table. So here I can observe that there are sign changes. There are two sign changes, isn't it? So if there are sign changes, then straight away we can conclude that the given polynomial is not Hurwitz. Okay, but if your Routh table has no sign changes, then we should check for the roots of the auxiliary equation. So it is not necessary to check the roots of the auxiliary equation in this case, because obviously there are sign changes in the Routh table. Hence the given polynomial is not Hurwitz. Okay. So here this is another interesting tutorial. Anyhow, the first two conditions are satisfied. So using the formula, when I try to construct my Routh table, I'll once again get a row of zeros. So when I get a row of zeros, you know the procedure, find the auxiliary equation. In this case it is 2s power 4 plus 4s square plus 2, and differentiate that, I'll get 8s cube plus 8s, and I'll replace that with the elements of s cube, that is the row of zeros, and here you can observe that I'll get once again a row of zeros, but in this case those elements are corresponding to the row s bar 1. So again the same procedure is repeated. Auxiliary equation 2s square plus 2 is differentiated, gives me 4s, and now when I replace that, you can observe that there are no sign changes in the first column. But as I told you, when you find an auxiliary equation or when you get a row of zeros. Even though you don't have any sign changes in the first column of the Routh table, you must be sure that your roots of the auxiliary equation has no repeated pair of imaginary roots. So here, that's the auxiliary equation. I'll assume s square to be a, and I'll find the roots. A I've obtained as -1 -1, which is s square, which will give me s is equal to plus or minus j1 plus or minus j1. So this is nothing but a repeated pair of imaginary roots. But the condition is the roots of the auxiliary equation should not have any repeated pair of imaginary roots with no real part. Since this condition is violated, the given polynomial is not Hurwitz. In the 19th tutorial, determine the range of the values of a such that the given polynomial s power 4 plus s cube plus as square plus 2s plus 3 is Hurwitz. So the condition is given that the polynomial is Hurwitz, and we have to determine the range of the values of a. So we know that for this polynomial to be Hurwitz, the terms in the first column of the Routh table should be positive. So using the formula, we'll try to construct the Routh table for this polynomial, and you know the procedure. We have seen many tutorials in this lecture. So after finding the elements, so this is the first column that we have obtained for this Routh table. So for this to be positive, a minus 2 should be greater than 0, and 2a minus 7 by a minus 2 should also be greater than 0. So then only these can be considered as positive. So when these two conditions are taken into consideration, I'll get a is greater than 2 from the first condition, and from the second condition I'll get a is greater than 7 by 2. So keeping in mind the two results that we have got for a, I can conclude that the range of values of a such that the given polynomial is Hurwitz is when a is greater than 7 by 2. The last tutorial, determine the range of k such that the given polynomial is Hurwitz. The same procedure we must follow. So after constructing the Routh table using the formula, so here the first column should be positive. For that, 6 minus k by 3 should be greater than 0, isn't it? So 6 minus k is greater than 0, which will give me k is less than 6 and k is greater than 0, because here I have k. So for this to be positive, this also should be greater than 0. So using these two conditions, the range of k for which the given polynomial is Hurwitz is 0 less than k less than 6. So this concludes my second lecture on the concept of Hurwitz polynomial. Thank you.